Oh, crikey, you guys were eager tonight, aren't you? There's lots of comments already in the chat before we've even started. How are you all doing today? Hello and welcome to another live stream from the Veg Army podcast. My name's Richard, in case you are not aware. Now, tonight we're going to be sharing a few of our winter comfort recipes. Ooh, very exciting. This is a subject that we do every now and then. It's always really good to see what everyone comes up with. And we've actually got quite a few videos to go through with this subject in mind. So great turnout is all I have to say. So first of all, let's see if anybody is actually out there. And I know there's lots of people out there already. So let's get into it. First of all, we have got Ballycillian Allotment Man saying good evening to everyone. Hope all's well. Good evening to you. Adrian is out there saying hello. Good evening to you. Digwell is saying, darn it, was hoping to be first, LOL, but he looks like he was about third. Who else have we got? Philly SBB is out there saying, hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Digwell says, and this is, I bring this one up because it tallies up with what we're talking about. Spent a few hours editing an apple pie video, but I added the pastry and custard, making to it as well. A marathon. Bloody nice though. Is that going to be on your YouTube channel pretty soon, I hope? Idaho Gone Girl is out there saying hello, Richard, Adrian, Ballycillian, Digwell, and everybody else. Have I missed somebody? I thought I saw Turbo Stream was out there and I can't see him. Oh well. We'll come. Alison O'Brien is out there saying evening all, winter comfort food, toad and whole. Ooh, I haven't got that on my list. That's one I forgot about. Anna Jones is out there saying evening gardeners. Good evening to you. We have got Hargrave Gas is out there. Evening everyone. I hope you've all had a great week and not succumbed to any of the nasty bugs going around. We'll get into that in just a moment. Turbo Stream is out there saying good evening, veg podcasters. Good evening to you. Alison O'Brien is roast dinners is a nice comfort food. Lots of roast potatoes. It's another one that is on my list as well, indeed. Turbo Stream, very wet in the Shire this week. The road was flooding down from my house yesterday and the pond and stream. There's a lot of water about. We'll get into that in just a moment. Stuart Jackson is out there saying evening, Richard and the Veg Army. Hope everyone is well. Good evening to you. Andrew Norris, greetings from Croatia. Just saw someone made an apple pie and custard. I dream of apple pie and custard. I should have a warning to everyone that I think we're going to get very hungry in tonight's show because I can tell you we've got some great recipes coming up. Scott is out there saying good evening all. Good evening to you. Bethan's Kitchen and Garden. Evening all. Hope everyone's having a great week. Good evening to you. We have got apple pie and custard, yet another trip down to the M5, says Digwell. Bex Christine, watching along as always. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for commenting. Please do add to the chat. Always happy to see you. Chili Kate says, good evening from us. It was a great afternoon to be on the allotment. It's been a great day on the allotment, hasn't it? And in the garden for that matter as well. Kate Spratt saying, good evening, Veg Army. Now, Kate has had a bit of an unfortunate accident this week. Yesterday, to be exact, where an iron hit her on the head. Now, I hope you are okay. And we've obviously had a bit of a chat about this in the group. But if you want any details, then I'm sure Kate will iron out all the details of the incident if you ask her. Just you can have a bit of a joke with it. David Williams is out there saying evening all. Good evening to you. We have got no gardening this week. Plot is saturated. Plus I got dust in my eye, so couldn't see a thing on the mend now, says Turbo Stream. And Stuart Jackson says leek and potato soup is one of my favorites. Apple crumble with a good homemade custard is a must. So we're already getting the ideas in for these winter comfort foods, and I haven't got my I've made some notes so I can go through them with you as well. But first of all, let's get into this week, because the weather this week has been pretty rubbish, hasn't it? We had the storm last weekend and the storm during the week. First of all, I want to make sure everybody out there has not had any damages from it at all. Obviously, that's my first concern. We've been pretty lucky here. We've had no damage at all. So we're okay. But obviously, about you guys as well. But yeah, and obviously the rain has been a bit of a problem. Rain and dark nights. I'm finishing work and it's dark, so I'm not able to go down to the allotment. It rained all day yesterday, so the only day I've been able to go down the allotment or even out the garden has been today, which has limited things to say the least. But it made up for it because today the weather has been really, cold, but nice to get outside. It was sunny here where I am. I hope it's been the same for you. So let's get into just looking through. Let's get into these winter comfort foods. Now, this is I think it was Anne who suggested it last week, and I thought this is going to be a great conversation. And you're already sharing some of your details. Apple pie seems to keep popping up because that's been mentioned, and that's not actually one I've put down on my list. But you're right, apple pie or apple crumble has to be a great comfort of food. Now, I tried to incorporate, of course, our own homemade food with the things that we have made. And one of the things that I've got is mash. Now, this could be sausage, mash and gravy, or pie and mash as well. Pie and mash with liquor, even better. So yeah, incorporating potatoes into, especially mashed potatoes, seems to be a bit of a comfort food. And I harvested a load of potatoes today. So in fact, I had mashed potato with my dinner tonight. So mashed potatoes are a key thing there that we're going to add. Kate is laughing with our joke, and Digwell is saying that cake comment creased me up, Richard. You know, we're gonna have to come up with a few more jokes like this. You know, we are safe to do that. I think it's safe to say. David Williams says, not been here a lot. I wondered if you were okay. Had a year from hell. Can't wait to say goodbye to 2023. Hopefully next year will be brighter. If there's anything we can do to help, let us know. Yeah, hope you're okay, buddy. Hope you're okay. Nicola Cornish Heaven has joined. Evening, Richard, and all. Good evening to you. Kate says, I'm okay, thank you. Good enough. Richard, hello all. Good evening to see you, sir. Hope you're well, and hopefully, I don't know how you're getting on with the dogs that you had, or the puppies, I should say. So, hope you're doing okay, buddy. Kate says, have been feeling a little flat. We're going to get these iron jokes out of here tonight, aren't we? You know, there's got to be quite a few of them that we can come up with. Stuart Jackson says, no damage here, just a couple of inches of water in the greenhouse, but it hasn't stopped my getting inside and sowing seeds. Yeah, I'm with you there. I like rain, but not in the amount that we have got here at the moment. Although it looks like the weather's going to improve over this next week. Excuse me. Turbo Stream says, I do like a bowl of cream of parsnip soup on a winter's day. How do you make that? Let us know. Scott says, mashed potato. He agrees with me. Mashed potato, absolutely love this stuff. Provided it's got to be the right potato. There's some potatoes that don't lend themselves perfectly for mash. It's got to be the right potato to get that really nice, creamy texture, isn't it? That's what my thoughts on it anyway. David Williams says, mashed potatoes with garlic, simply the best. Yeah, garlic or cheese as well. Gotta admit it. Stuart Jackson says, I know you don't drink, Richard, but I make slow gin. I don't like wasting fruit. I used to make slow gin. You're right, I don't drink. I don't like the taste of alcohol, to be honest with you. But you're right. Why waste fruit? Make what you can out of it. Fantastic. Digwell says, mashed potato made with mustard powder and butter. Yummy. Yeah, mustard. There's so many things we can do. So many things that we can do with mashed potato. It's got to be one of our must-haves. Scott says, you did well keeping a straight face, Richard. Glad you're okay, Kate. Yeah, plenty of jokes coming in. We know it's okay to make jokes out of this because Kate said it was okay. Andrew says, hi there, Idaho. David Williams, thanks, Rich. Time will see us through. We will be fine. Pleased to hear it. Pleased to hear that it's okay. Chili Phil says lunch today was vegetable soup and sourdough bread, all homemade, very comforting after watching our son play football today, a regular through us through the winter. Now, I have made a note about soup being one of my comfort food, but I've got to admit, I'm not. I find soup one that I don't exactly get excited about unless I'm really cold. That's the only time I really want soup, cold or if I'm out camping. Um, that's the only two times I like soup. But I know some people really, really will have soup every day if they could. Um, I don't know why. I don't know why. It's just my personal opinion. But when you are cold watching a football, for example, a nice soup does go down well, doesn't it? And it's gonna be. There's so many different types of soup that we can have. Potato and leek is probably one of my favourite. So we'll add that in there as well. Starchy spuds for mash, in my honest opinion. It's more about getting that creamy texture. I don't like the not so much the floury, the chunks of potatoes. For me, I've got to have a really smooth mash for it to be really, really tasty, really nice and smooth with plenty of butter, plenty of flavour. I don't like bits of potato. Excuse me, in my opinion. Scott says 50% potato and 50% butter with mash. I mean, that's quite a lot of butter, but I'm with you. With you on that. Digwell says, "Why do they call it slow gin? It goes so quickly. It does. It is very popular, isn't it? Slow gin. I can't stand the stuff. I don't like gin. I don't like alcohol, but it is very, very popular. Idaho. Now, this is actually aimed at Digwell, but I've never had mashed potato with mustard powder. This is a great thing about these chats, is that we can share a few ideas that might give others a few ideas of what we can do. So nothing is off the board on tonight's show. Anything you have, please do share it with us. Champ mash is a favourite. What's champ mash? What's champ mash? Turbo Stream says parsnips, onion, and potato with veg stock. Cook till soft, then blend with some parsley and a dash of milk and season to taste. That's his recipe for cream of parsnip soup. Sounds absolutely delicious. Kate says a nice jacket potato, butter and cheese for me. Jacket potato. Didn't think of that as a comfort food. Again, not one of the things I tend to eat, but jacket potato. Jacket potato with some beans on it. We've got beans coming up in a moment. Yeah, good one. Good one. Idaho says, yes, I always like soup. A lot of people do. I know somebody who will have soup every day if he could. I think I like something I can bite into personally. What have we got? Turbo Swim says, I do like a soup in winter. Idaho says, I like mashed potato with chunks. Again, that personal opinion. I think we had a conversation going on the other day in the group. I say conversation. It's a picture that's coming up actually when we were talking about the why don't seed catalogs say about flavour, because flavour is very subjective, and I think we're proving that tonight with this mashed potato. Idaho likes it with chunks. I like mine to be really, really creamy. Yeah. David Williams, leaks in champ. What's leaks in champ? What's this champ that keeps coming up? Here we go. Scott says champ mash is mashed potato with spring onions. Infuse spring onions with milk and butter and mix with mashed potatoes. Oh, that sounds interesting. Or spring onions. That sounds very interesting, you two. I'm going to have to give that a try. What else? Bethan agrees with Kate on the jacket potato, and she loves soup too. Any particular soup that is your favourite? I know we do have a soup recipe on one of the videos as well. Andrew says, damn, all this talk of food, just head into the kitchen. Yes, I did warn you, you're going to get hungry throughout this show, and wait until the videos start coming. They will get you even hungrier. Scott says, oh no, I read that one, sorry. Turbo Stream says, I also do like a full English breakfast to mind. I'm with you with the full English as a real treat, isn't it? Now, I did make a list of a couple of comfort food breakfasts as well that I tend to like. Now, difficult, isn't it? Because not everybody has chickens. I'm lucky I do have chickens. So scrambled egg on toast is probably one of my favourite comfort food breakfasts. Um, Plenty of black pepper, nice crispy toast with plenty of butter, bit of creme fraiche thrown in with the scrambled egg as well. Delicious, in my opinion. And then we've got added to that pancakes as well. Something else we make quite often as a bit of a breakfast. Um, Pancakes, flour, egg, water. So easy to do in a pan. Delicious. Another one that we've got to have. Chili Kate says, we got a nice beef stew with onions, celery, parsnip, sweet carrot, and potato in a slow cooker for after the show. We'll pop in the kitchen in the mo and add dumplings. Beef stew or any type of stew. That's one that we often eat in the winter, isn't it? As well. Nice and good comfort food. Digra says onion mash. What's onion mash? Is that just mashed potato with extra onions? Let me know. Nicholas says eggy cheese thing. Eggy cheese thing. Eggy cheese thing. Idaho. I bought some Coleman's powdered mustard this week. Speedy stuff. I'll have to try it in potatoes. Good stuff. Good call. Nicholas says custard. Custard, yeah. I haven't made custard from scratch for a while now, but delicious. Absolutely delicious. Homemade custard, particularly, is, in my opinion, the best. Bethan says butternut squash and red pepper soup or leek and potato soup served with a cheese salad roll on the side. Oh, you know what? I said I wasn't keen on soups earlier. I'm starting to crave a nice soup, and I've already had my dinner, so this is not going to be good for me. The Turbo Stream says homemade raspberry jam on toast, washed down with a mug of tea. Cannot beat homemade jam, or for those in America, jellies. Cannot beat that as well. Stuart Jackson says, my wife cooks a great vegetable crumble with lots of cheese. Oh, vegetable crumble. That's very interesting. Not something I really thought about. I'm thinking gratins and things, but good idea completely. Idaho says over easy eggs with refried beans, corn tortilla, cheese, and salsa. I like it so much. I eat it every day. Oh, is that like a breakfast burrito, or isn't it, or something like that? Good idea, though. Good idea. Those comments are coming in thick and fast now, so this is great to see. Chili Kate says any sort of pie with mash, of course. Yes, pie and mash, one of my favourites. Steak and kidney pie, chicken and leek pie, chicken and bacon pie. Delicious, delicious. Turbo Stream says, I did a sausage bake last year. One sausage, cube squash, bell peppers, onion and gravy baked in the oven. Oh, sounds delicious as well. Sounds delicious. This is great, isn't it? Getting these ideas flowing. What else have we got? Idaho says, all this mention of food, I'm getting hungry. I did try and warn everyone, we will get hungry. I'm certainly getting hungry already. Nicholas says slices of cooked potato laid with cheese, topped with cheese and tomatoes, egg custard poured over, and baked in the oven. Interesting. That's almost like I was going to say a potato dauphinoise, but it doesn't have the garlic. Dauphinoise doesn't normally have the tomatoes or cheese or egg custard either. Potato dauphinoise. That's got to be a comfort food as well. I haven't had that for ages. I'm going to have to tell Amanda that we're going to have that one day. Scott says, sorry, I made a leek, kale, and potato and parmesan soup yesterday. It was lovely. Oh, that sounds delicious. Absolutely delicious. David Williams says, use Belotti beans in a nice soup slash stew. Can't be beaten, especially if spuds are also present. Belotti beans. I've done so well with Belotti beans this year. I cannot. We've eaten some the other day and they are so nice. So with you, yeah, using soups, stews, anything like that. Dried already as well makes all the difference. Digwell says cheesy, hammy, eggy, a navy dish. Toast bread on one side, slice of ham, grill it, then add the fried egg on top. Oh, that sounds nice as well. Turbo Stream says, oh yes, roasted veg soup is the best. Just roast the veg, then blend with stock and season. When it comes to stock, though, homemade stock is I think really does set your cooking apart. I always try and make a batch of stock up. If we have a roast chicken, I'll make some stock up afterwards. Same with vegetables and things like that. Turbo Stream also says fish and chips. That's gonna be delicious. Absolutely delicious, isn't it? It's from a fish and chip shop on the seafront as well, just over there. Scott says, I like the sounds of potatoes with a savoury custard. Need to try that. I'm quite tempted by that as well. It sounds like a very interesting one. Thank you, Nicola, for that. And Idaho is saying Dauphinois. How do you spell that, Richard? I've never heard of it. So, Dauphinois, Duphoisnoise, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure somebody can spell it out in the chat for you, but that's the general. Bethan's done it for you. Let's bring that up. Dauphinois, absolutely delicious. It's basically sliced potatoes, put into a dish, pour over some cream and garlic, and then I think that's how you do it anyway, off the top of my head, and then roast that in an oven. And the potatoes take on this sort of creamy texture. Absolutely delicious. Turbo Stream says, please explain over easy eggs. I've often wondered. I've wondered the same thing as well. I think over easy is scrambled, but I could be wrong on that. So keep these ideas coming. Now, whose video shall we go to first? I tell you what. We'll just go in the order that they are on my screen. So the first one is Bethan's, and let's see what she's got for us.
Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be making this chocolate courgette cake, which is absolutely delicious. It's really nice and comforting on winter nights, but it's also great in the summertime as well. So let me show you what you need to do. To begin, roast 140 grams of chopped hazelnuts in an unoiled frying pan until they begin to have the same colour. Then set to one side while you combine the other ingredients. In a bowl, add 350 grams of plain flour with 50 grams of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of mixed spice and 1 teaspoon of salt. In another bowl, combine the other ingredients, which are 175 millilitres of extra virgin olive oil, 375 grams of golden castor sugar, 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 500 millilitres of grated courgette. I've used frozen ones here, but fresh is just as good. Mix the wet and dry ingredients together and then fold in the hazelnuts. Add this mixture to a 24 centimetre lined cake tin and place in a preheated oven at 180 degrees or 160 fan for 40 to 50 minutes. Check the cake is baked by popping a skewer into the cooked cake, and if the skewer comes out clean, set the cake to one side and leave it to cool in the tin for 10 minutes and then turn it out onto a wire rack and leave to cool. Once the cake is totally cool, make the icing by adding 100 millilitres of hot double cream to a bowl with 200 grams of dark or milk chocolate and combine together until smooth. Pour this icing onto the cooled cake and leave to set. So there you go, that's the recipe. Please give it a go. If you've saved any courgettes from the summer, they will come in handy in this cake because it makes the cake healthy, obviously, because it's got courgette in it. So that's it for me for today. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody, and all I can say about this cake is lovely job.
Lovely job indeed. Absolutely delicious. So we've had courgette cake before, but not quite like that. So I'm going to get my wife to make that one as well. Thank you so much, Bethan. Hopefully that video worked perfectly for you guys. We had a bit of a conversation with Bethan. Apparently hers keep coming out laggy or something when I pop them up. So hopefully that has worked fine. Yeah, courgette cake. You know, this is something that we've obviously all heard of carrot cake, but courgette cake or tomato cake I've heard of as well isn't something we often think about, but well worth doing at the same time. Right, where were we with the Digwell says, talking about potato dauphinoise, very much like a potato bake. Yeah, indeed. That's probably the easy way to say it as well. Digwell says, easy over, flip the egg just before finished cooking. Oh, so it you don't get a runny egg, you get a solid egg, basically. Okay, I've always wondered that, so thank you so much for enlightening me on that. Scott says, Bollinger potatoes are lovely, like dauphinoise, but made with stock instead of cream. I've never heard of that. I'll give that a try. Indeed. Ian has joined, and welcome along, Ian. He says that looks yummy. Talking about the Bethan's video, it certainly does look yummy indeed. Digwell says nom nom nom. Indeed, nom nom nom. Scott says, God, that cake looks good. Indeed, it does. And then we've got Turbo Stream. Oh my, that cake, yum yum yum. What else have we got? Andrew says, look at that. Never thought of courgettes in a cake, but makes sense. And as Bethan said herself, it makes it healthy, which, you know, you can eat cake and be healthy. You know, not too bad, is it? Great video, Bethan, says Stuart. And Bethan says that courgette makes the cake very light. A good way of using up courgette. Funny enough, I went down the allotment today and I harvested probably my last 2 courgettes today. We'll see, because the plants are still alive. And then I came home and Amanda was just cooking up the last of our courgettes until I brought these home. And she looked at me like she wanted to kill me. Then I went into the garden and brought back 2 more courgettes as well. So, yeah, always looking for ways to use up courgettes. And especially ways that means Amanda isn't going to murder me in my sleep, bless her. Now, Idaho says, over easy eggs are not scrambled. You melt butter or other fat in a heavy pan. Once it is hot, you crack the eggs in and add them. Cook them until the whites are half set. Turn the eggs over and cook the other side. Right. There we go. Thank you so much. So, thank you. I've always wondered it. So that was useful information there. What else have we got? Idaho says, I like my over easy eggs just so the white is cooked, but the yolk is runny. Right, with you now. So thank you. As I said, I think I've always wondered that when I've heard it on movies and things on what over easy eggs just is. So excellent. Thank you. Ian says, eat cake and be happy. Indeed. And Digler says, any of the squash family is good in cake. Is in a cake is good. So is carrot. As I said, I know somebody in our office made tomato cake once as well. That went down very well. Interesting to try tomato in a cake, I'm going to say. Scott says Boulanger potatoes mean baker's potatoes, where in France you would take the potatoes to the baker's at the end of the day and use the remaining heat in the baker's oven to cook the potato dish. Lovely, lovely stuff. I mean, a lot of these recipes are sort of how people would use up. I mean, we call it comfort food, or often paupers food is. I don't want to use paupers in a derogatory term, but that's often used as a way of, or what we call comfort food used to be pauper food, just like oysters as well used to be pauper food. If anybody likes oysters, they're considered a delicacy now, but they were paupers food. Moving on from that, Nicolette says, so pleased I've just eaten my dinner while watching. It has not eaten today. Yeah, I did warn you, you might get hungry. So it's always a risk. It's always a risk. David says, lovely accent there, Bethan. Indeed. What have we got? Turbo Stream says, my version of corned beef hash is comforting in the winter. Bell pepper, onions, potato, peas, corned beef hash, and then the fried egg on top. I think you shared that recipe with us. Was it last year or the year before? I can't quite remember, but I remember you had a video for that. By the way, I should just, if you can hear noises going on in the background, I don't know if the microphone's necessarily picking it up. There are fireworks going off all over the place, which... You know my thoughts on fireworks. Roxy, poor thing, is scared out of her mind at the moment with it all. Poor thing. Anne says beetroot cake as well. Yeah, beetroot cake. I can see that working really nice. The beetroot has that nice, sweet flavour to throw into it too. Idaho says some people order over easy, some order over medium, and some people say over hard. Ah, okay. Well, what's sunny side up then? That's the other thing. Nicola says courgette can be dried and blitzed to a bender and then can be used to replace some of the wheat flour. Dried courgette, yeah, good idea. Somebody suggested as well drying nasturtium leaves and flowers to use as well, if that's any use to anybody. Not tried it myself, but somebody did suggest drying nasturtium leaves and flowers and then grinding those up into a sort of flour as well. Digwell says fried eggs for me have to have crispy, bubbly white. Memories from a big frying pan at the train station calf. Yeah, I've got a feeling a nice big fry up from a proper greasy spoon is in order pretty soon. Nicholas says my cat's shut in because of the fireworks in Valley. Yeah, I'm with you. I hate fireworks for this reason. Not just our dogs, but also the wildlife too. Turbo Stream says I sent in a video a couple of years back. I thought you did. I do remember that completely. Stuart Jackson says, this is why I love the live show. My dinners are planned for the next 2 weeks. Excellent. If anybody does want to send the recipes in written as well, I'm happy to pop them on our website to show them off as well, if anybody is interested in doing that. We do that with Scott's recipes, funnily enough, on the podcast. They've got extra ones added to it. So, yeah. Idaho says sunny side up means the egg is not turned over. Thank you. I wondered what that was. Chili Kate says, poor Roxy. Rudgy is huddled in his crate with a blanket over the top. It's awful, isn't it? We had it last night where I'm sat on the sofa, Amanda's on the other sofa, the fireworks went off. And normally Roxy will come to me, but because I'm by the window, she went to Amanda and just shaking constantly when these fireworks are going off. Poor thing. Didn't help. We all had a walk on the beach the other day. It's going off topic slightly. Somebody let a firework off on the beach and she bolted as it went off. Horrible. Toby Stream says a toasted bacon and egg sarnie with brown sauce hits the spot again with builder's tea. Yes. Ian says winter comfort food for me is bubble and squeak, fried potato and cabbage plus apple and blackcurrant crumble with cream. Bubble and squeak, that's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. Digwell says corned beef hash, lovely. In the Navy, it was called corn dog hash and very cheap. And every cheap meat and leftover veg went in. Lovely. Scott says drying veg trimmings and grinding it up to make veg stock powder works well too. Good for adding to soups and risotto and things like that. I never thought of doing that. I normally just take, so if I use carrots, I cut the top of the carrots. I'll put that into my slow cooker with onions and things like that to make my potato peelings too, to make my stock. I never thought about drying it. I'm going to try that in the future now. Thank you. Andrew says, in Croatian, the literal translation of fried egg is egg on the eye. My mum was a little surprised when Jasna offered it to make her breakfast. Fantastic. This is why I love. We get to learn things from other countries tonight as well. Bethan says, sorry, I'm about to head off to one of those annoying fireworks display. I agree with your thoughts about, but my children like them, so please. I'm not going to ostracize anybody for them. Apologies for that. You know what you do with your own thing. Roxy's my problem. I just don't like them. But that doesn't mean I can tell anybody else what to do. That's my stance on it. Bubble and Squeak always on the menu after a roast dinner. Oh, yeah. Anna says we're doing intermittent fasting, so no food after dinner or before lunch. We miss breakfast so much. We have a full English for dinner. All this talk of fried eggs is making me want one now. Full English could be a dinner, couldn't it? Completely. Turbo Stream says the foods are excellent tonight. Here we go. Here they come. Idaho says, if I ever come to the UK, I will be trying all these new dishes. Oh, please let us know if you ever come over, and we'll cook some up for you. Roast chicken and roasties gravy. Funny enough, yes. Talking of roasties, roast is on my list as well as something that I love to do. Roast dinner with roast potatoes, all the veg, peas, sweet corn, carrots, just a massive plate of food. I mean, it is definitely what we have for Christmas, and it's just absolutely delicious. And it's got to be a comfort food, isn't it? Roast dinner, roast Sundays. It used to be something we used to save up for all week to buy that nice slab of meat. What else have we got? Idaho says, I actually enjoy the fireworks. Luckily, I've never had a dog that was adversely affected. Roxy wasn't until one went off when we were at a fish and chip shop last year and scared the living crap out of all of us. But that's just a completely other story. What have we got? Scott says, Bubble and Squeak always need a fried egg in it to make it lovely. I haven't had Bubble and Squeak for a while. I'm going to have it soon now. Ian is asking Digra, did you have sweet Fanny Adams? She was a little girl sadly murdered years ago, and the Navy were given tins of corned beef that the Navy said was sweet Fanny Adams. That's taken a sun dark turn there. I'm not quite sure where that's going there, Ian. Halloween was last week. Andrew says, I've just had a full English. Jasna was in England last week and brought some bacon back. Oh, bacon indeed. Toby Stream says, I had a rare roast dinner today using up frozen parsnips from last year. Beetroot roasts well. Yeah, gotta admit, beetroot is great like that too. Stuart Jackson says, I do love a vegetable lasagna. You can use leeks instead of pasta. Yes, yeah, instead of sheets of lasagna pasta, use leeks instead. It works really, really well. Also very delicious. And if you're not told it's leeks, you wouldn't actually recognize it not being pasta. I think that was a hairy bikers recipe, wasn't it? When they were, or hairy dieters, as they called themselves on that book. What else have we got? David Williams says, as does selling noise-free fireworks this year. Hopefully it will catch on. You never know. I tell you what, let's go to another video because I've got quite a few to get through. Let's go to Scott's recipe because this is a good one. It's actually on the website if you want to find out more about this recipe afterwards. Fantastic. What a great little baked bean recipe. I crave baked beans now, to be honest with you. First of all, Scott, I think that was Scott's first time he's actually managed to edit a video like that. So well done on that. Absolutely fantastic. Great to see. Please do send more in. It's really good to see. And as I said, the recipe is on the veggrowlpodcast.co.uk. Excuse me, and that's already up now if you do want to read that as well and follow it along. Yeah, great stuff. What's the time? Quarter two. I better get a move on if we're going to get through all these videos tonight. Where have we got? So Digwell says, use sliced potatoes instead of lasagna sheets. That's a good idea, isn't it? Good idea instead of what we normally do, or leeks. Nice one. Nicholas says rice pudding with cream and nutmeg, semolina and rose hip syrup, sponge pudding and custard. I'm trying to avoid sweet things at the moment. I've got a real craving for something like this. Andrew says great technique for chopping onions. You can tell a chef by the way they chop things. There's proper knife skills going on around there. What else have we got? Ian says, sounds like it's all round to Nicola to dinner for me. Indeed. Cheerful music makes me want to either dance or cook. Indeed. We could do with a lot more cheerfulness these days, can't we? So keep it up. Looks great, Scott says Digwell. Scott says, thanks, Richard. Stuart says, yes, Scott, great video. Idaho says, well, dog's barking now. That was great cooking video, Scott. Indeed. Lynn B, hi Richard and everyone just popping in. Lovely to see you, Lynn. Hope you are well. Nicola says, Digwell, you can use leeks instead of pasta. We spoke about that just now as well. And says, looks delicious, Scott. Beans and meat are so good. I like cassolette with sausage, chicken and beans. Oh, it sounds delicious. Absolutely delicious. Digwell says, I quite often use sliced potatoes instead of pastry for a pie. Why not? Why not indeed? Oh, I'm getting very, very hungry now. But I'm going to pot up another video quickly. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. It's a sew-along video I'm going to pot up this time right now. Right guys, so this week he wanted me to sow some field beans as a green manure. Now field beans are a fantastic green manure. Being a member of the legume family, they tend to add nitrogen to the soil, providing you don't let them flower, that is. You want to cut them down before they flower. So now is the ideal time to really start sowing them. They will overwinter quite nicely. They may be a bit slow to grow, but they will overwinter. So, what we've got, these are the seeds. They're fairly large size. They're bean seeds. So we just scatter them all over the area where we want them to grow. Try and get them a bit even as possible. You could probably sow quite a few more in this area, to be fair. I've been a bit mean, but for purposes of demonstration, it's fine. And all I want to do after that is just rake them around the soil. Obviously, we don't want any of these bits of grass that are left there either. But just rake them around the soil so they are fairly well protected. And then what I like to do is just use the back of the rake and tamp down the soil to make sure they are all in good contact with the ground, like so. Now, of course, birds could be a problem, mice could be a problem. They might come along and eat these beans, but on the whole, most of them will grow. And if you can see any, it's worth just giving them a bit of a push down to make sure they are underground when doing it. Now all we've got to do, leave these to grow, and they will soon germinate, grow away and produce bean plants that are going to fix nitrogen into the soil. As I say, we want to stop them from flowering, because when they flower is when they start to use up their nitrogen reserves. But that's easy. You just keep a close eye on them. If you see what looks like flower buds starting to appear, then you just cut them all down at the ground and do it. And before you want to use this bed, a couple of weeks before, cut down all these plants at the ground, leave the roots in the ground, and they will fix nitrogen into the soil. As easy as that. Now, just to add a bit more to it, Roxy has come along to tamp the ground down and prove to you just how easy it is to do. What do you say, Roxy? Happy? No, don't dig. Don't dig. We don't dig in this garden, do we, Roo? Oh, don't work with animals, they say. Right, guys, back to the studio. Special appearance from Roxy in that video. Yeah, Phil Beans, green manure. I think it was TurboStream who asked for that for this week as this week's sew along. So I'm wondering if a sew along has done its time and do we keep doing with it, or do we look at another feature? I don't know. Or suggest a field or a seed to sow for next week, whatever you may think. Few ideas. Now I've got one more comfort food on my list that it's probably not so well known in the UK. I'm sure Idaho is going to have heard of this, and it's called gumbo. It is absolutely delicious. One of my favorite things to cook, and I normally cook a big batch of it and keep it in the freezer because it is so good. A mix of tomato sauce. You got I use chorizo, chicken, seafood, and okra. Salivating at the thought of it with the spicy, nice Creole cooking. Absolutely delicious. Gumbo, that is one of my absolute favorites. So back to the comments quickly. We have got Cassolette is amazing. I make one with a confit of duck and sausage. Sounds delicious. Sounds delicious. You have to shed us or let us know how you make it at some point. That would be great. Scott says you can eat filled bean tops. Made a risotto with them before. Yes, yes. I have heard a bit like broad bean tops as well. You pinch out the top and you can eat that. Well worth doing. Another food source at the end of the day. I like that garden rake with the smaller head. I've not seen a rake like that. So I actually got that from, where did I get it? Oh, Richard Vobes's dad's house when I helped clear that place out. He let me keep that rake. It's a great little rake, and I love the size of that just to make it fit. It's nice, isn't it? Ian says it looks like an old rake. They're better than the new ones. I create the same with all old tools before, isn't it? It's nice. That small head is nice because you can fit it into the smaller spaces than most ordinary rakes, which just makes it a little bit easier. Ian says love Roxy, and Anne says more Roxy, please. And Andrew says Roxy, what a star. She does pop up every now and then. If she's not barking, she's fine. So when she does things like that, I quite like it. I gotta admit, I love that on that. Stuart Jackson, nice to see you potting Roxy to work. I do my best. Idaho says, yes, I've heard of gumbo. It's delicious, isn't it? It's probably one that most people here in the UK probably haven't heard of, but absolutely delicious. If you like spicy food, that is. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's Southern American, I think in St. Louisiana style cooking. I could be mistaken on that. But yeah. Andrew says, one more video on your list. Did you download? Yes, there's more than one video on my list. We've got 1, 2, 3 videos left to go. So yeah, yours is one of those. So don't worry. Scott says, agree, more Roxy, please. I'll try and get her in the videos a bit more. She's very, very stubborn, so she doesn't always want to act how I would like her to act. You know what I mean? As I say, her breed is quite a stubborn one. But yeah, why not? Why not? Just quickly, a couple of things I just want to mention. First of all, I need a sew along for next week, and I need a subject and a mission for next week. I've got no tool video this week just because of the amount of videos I had. I thought we're gonna run it out of time, so do that and tick that off. Live streams on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve as well. I'm thinking we need to do another quiz on one of those nights, and I'm thinking probably Christmas Eve, and then New Year's Eve we might do a bit of a social gathering, just a chance for everyone to talk openly or whatever they want to talk about. What do you guys think of that, or do we do it the other way round? Let us know. Right. Yeah, right. What is going on the comments? That's what I read last. Oh, let's do. Digwell says, I like gumbo and jambalaya, Louisiana dishes, but I'm guessing my versions are a bit tame, LOL. Yeah, jambalaya as well, delicious, aren't they? I love that sort of, I mean, I like spicy food as well. In fact, another one of my comfort food has got to be a good curry, be it a chicken tikka masala, a lamb rogan josh, or something like that as well. But all that's, I mean, I love spice anyway. So yeah, but yeah, another one to throw out there as well. Ian is saying, can I do a cooking video of gumbo? Yeah, when I next make it. When I next make it, yeah. And Digwell is saying a cooking video would be good, Richard. Okay, I will make it. Where can I get some okra from? I think Farm Food sells okra, so I have to buy some okra in and see what we do. Digwell says yes for the quiz. Ian says, oh yes, quiz night. Stuart, quiz sounds a good idea. Anna Jones says yes to a quiz. But would you like that on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve is the question that I'm more interested in. I'm thinking Christmas Eve might be a better night. Anne says, what is jambalaya? So jambalaya is a rice dish, if I remember correctly. It's quite a spicy... I can't think of how to explain it. I'm sure Digwell would come up with another explanation for me, but it's... I'm trying to remember if it's a Jamaican... No, it's a Louisiana dish. Digwell, can you explain what jambalaya is? Because my mind has gone completely blank. Digwell says he's not fussed on what night. Ian says Christmas Eve. I'm thinking Christmas Eve would be a better one. I mean, they're both on a Sunday, aren't they, this year? So we're gonna be going live regardless. Yeah, I think Christmas Eve will probably work best for that. So let's quickly get another video. And Andrew's already mentioned his one. Or do I get no? And Andrew's is next on the rundown. So let's
Hello,
get
Veg Bros. At Richard's request, I'm going to show you how I make my favourite winter comfort food, which is butternut squash and ginger. Now, the garden this year was extremely disappointing. In the past, we had a lot of butternut squash, but this year we got one example, and our garlic only grew to that size. But nevertheless, I have the ingredients for the soup. I have an onion, ginger, vegetable stock, garlic, butternut squash, of course, some hot pepper, ground pepper. I have some butter, and I have, what's this one called in English? Nutmeg, just to add a little bit of flavour. So I will just show you how I make it, and hopefully it'll taste, as it always does, fantastic. wonderful. I'm ready to face winter.
Andrew, thank you so much for that video. I didn't watch it until I like to watch things while you guys are watching it, and I didn't watch it, and I just laughed out loud when you sat around, you know what, in the meantime, reading a book or doing a bit of housewife. Fantastic. Thank you so much. As Digwell says, a great vacuuming action. Can I borrow you? Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you so much. I love it. Love it. Love it. So Anne was asking what jambalaya was, and Scott says jambalaya is like a spicy paella, probably the best way of describing it. Yeah, spicy paella. It's best way to describe it. Yeah, completely. Although Digwell said jambalaya is an American Creole and Cajun rice dish of French, African, and Spanish influence, consisting mainly of meat and vegetables mixed with rice. Thank you, Wikipedia. Yeah. Chili Phil says Christmas Eve quiz sounds good. Absolutely, like we can do that. Stuart Jackson says topic for next week: how do we prep our beds for winter, or do we continue growing over the winter months? That's a nice idea. That's a good idea for next week, actually, if everybody is on board. David says, love the idea of the quiz. Yeah, I'll have to get Margaret to, I haven't seen her tonight, actually, but we'll have to get her to make it up and go from there, if she's available, that is. Ian says, nice, Andrew. Idaho says, very, very nice, Andrew. Absolutely. David says, lovely vids. Reminds me of Nigella. Scott says, that soup looks lovely, Andrew. And Andrew says, thank you all. Indeed. Smoldering stares at camera. Anna Jones says, lovely video. And yeah. Tommy Stream says, good topic, Stuart. David Williams says, is it too late for green manure? No, it's not. But if we're going to do this subject that Stuart has suggested for next week, green manures plays into that. So yeah, we'll throw that in. David Williams says way behind. That's right. Anne says, who is the doggy, Andrew? It is Zorro. Andrew says, this is Zorro, and Zorro. Absolutely wonderful dog. I remember seeing a while back on another show, Zorro running into a huge pile of leaves. So yeah, good enough. Good stuff. Turbo Stream says, I sowed some green manure last week. I sowed some today, funny enough, the field beans. So yeah, plenty of green manures. And as I say, we will cover that. I think the subject for next week has been decided in beds for winter. If I can try and work on that question a little bit more to try and dial it down to what we want. I tell you what, we've got one more cooking video which will pull up now, and this one comes from Anne all the way in Canada. Oh, sorry, you guys are back again. Thank you so much for that video, Anne. Absolutely fantastic. Looks really nice as well. You guys have really sent in some really great recipes, and all the suggestions that you have made have really, really been good as well. So thank you so much. We are into the final half hour of the show. So if you've got any last thoughts on winter comfort food and any ideas, then please do get those in the comments. We will go through some photos in just a moment, and we've got the mission video. I didn't do a tool video this week actually, purely because I thought we had too many videos to go through this week and see what's happening. So what have we got in the comments? We have got Andrew saying Zorro is a great swimmer too. I love swimming with him in our river. Fantastic. Andrew says, I love that turquoise bowl. It's always good to see what other people, well, I think it's always amazing to see what other people use for cooking and the difference it makes, doesn't it? Oh, I can't think of what I was going to say. I've lost my train of thought in that. So we'll carry on. Wow, great Anne drooling here. Fantastic, says Digwell. Andrew says drooling here too. Ian says yummy Anne. David says thumbs guy. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow. Click the notification so that you know when we go live. Particularly give us a like. Please give us a thumbs up. I forgot to say that. I should have said that a lot earlier. Forgot all about it. Thank you for reminding me. Idaho says yummy. Wow, yummy actually. Stuart Jackson says another great video this week. Thanks, guys. Does anybody? I mean, because these aren't my videos, I'm always hesitant about potting these up. But would everybody be okay if I put them up in the Facebook group if you've sent your videos in? Just because I think they're such great videos. I mean, yeah. That would, yeah. What do you think? What do you think of that? Nicholas says marshmallows baked over an apron fire. Marshmallows, mind you, just potatoes baked potatoes over an open fire is good as well. Stuart says, sorry, I meant all the videos were amazing. That's what you said, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought you did. I got the idea, Stuart. Don't worry, I figured out what you were meaning. Anne says it's from our dollar store, Andrew. Oh, fantastic. Scott says that apple cake looks lovely. Ah, yeah, indeed. Nicholas thumbs up and Ian's liked as well. Andrew says, excellent, Anne. Kitchen stuff doesn't have to be expensive. Tell my wife that. I shouldn't say that actually. That's not fair. It's just we like, KitchenAid, the manufacturer. They make the old style mixer. I had to buy over 10 years ago now. It was one of her big birthdays. I bought her that, and since then, every kitchen appliance like that has got to be KitchenAid just to keep the kitchen going. That, and with a Rangemaster cooker as well. However, I would say we don't have any problems with those. I've always said if you spend money in the right places, it pays off. Pay for what you get, isn't it? Anne says yes, no problem, excellent. So I'll share that. Scott says I'm happy for you to put mine on. Nicholas says I'd like to see again, fantastic. And Andrew says no problem here. So I know Bethan's gone, but I'm sure it'll be fine with her. We'll put those videos in the group. I know not everybody is in the group on Facebook, so makes it a little tricky to share it with everybody, but I'll try and get away. I could put it on the YouTube channel, I guess, in some form or another. Anne says apple cake really should be done in a skillet. Yeah, I mean, I'm just feeling very hungry now. Apples are apples are such a good thing. I mean, I spoke about apples a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. They're fantastic, aren't they? Andrew says, I want to watch and note down Anne's recipe again, so do post it. Yeah, I mean, if you could, those that have sent me a video, if you could, Scott already has, I said, his video is on our website, the veggroundpodcast.co.uk. If you could send me the written way to make it as well, and I will add that in the notes if possible. I know that's a bit more work for you guys, but if you could, that would be really appreciated. Stuart says, I am amazed how clean the cookers were this week. Note to self, clean the cooker, LOL. Well, funny enough, like I was saying to Kate yesterday, I have a fairy that comes along and cleans everything for me, just like my clothes, does all the ironing and washing. So don't try and clean it yourself. Leave it for the fairy. I'm sure she'll tackle it for you. If you try to do it yourself, that's when injuries happen. Digwell says, my secret ingredient for a wicked ragu sauce is a good glug of red wine, and with my chili, it is a few chunks of dark chocolate. Dark chocolate's used a lot in cooking, isn't it? The chefs add a little bit of chocolate powder to it to boost it up. Anne says, my cooker is filthy. I was hoping no one noticed. We didn't notice at all, to be honest. No, we didn't notice. I didn't notice anyway. But good enough. Cool. Right, I do have, this is the final video for the night, and then we'll get into photos. This is actually the mission. I think it was Nicola who sent me the mission for this week. I'm not sure if I actually completed this mission. It's going to be up to you guys to decide. Right, guys, this week you set me a mission of making a mini polytunnel. Now, I'm not sure if I've actually passed this mission. That's going to be up to you guys if the mission is complete. Weather this week hasn't been on my side, so it's a little bit tricky to try and do what I thought we might do. First of all, I got this bit of corrugated plastic. It's seen much better days, but for purposes of this, we will make the most out of it. And then I've got these cloche things that my granddad used when he was growing, before he passed away. And I just simply lift these up into place, like so. And I like to push these into the ground as well, just to make them a little bit secure. And there we go. That's a mini polytunnel ready to go. Let me know if you think that mission is complete. Yeah, so do you think that mission is completed or not? And then, of course, I need you to set me a mission for next week, depending on what you come up with, of course, as well as seeds to sow along next week, or I'll come up with something if the worst comes to the worst. Digwell says, I do add the ingredients and method to all of my cooking videos. Yes, obviously Digwell does a lot of cooking on his videos, and to be honest, I often find myself these days, if I'm looking for a particular recipe, Digwell is actually the first place I tend to go to now to find out how to, particular recipes. So go check out Digwell's channel, Digwell Green Fingers on YouTube. Same as many of the others who have contributed. I think I don't think Scott or Anne or Andrew have a YouTube channel, but Andrew might. I'm not sure actually, but I know Bethan does. So please do go check that out as well. Still talking of Andrew, says, I rarely follow recipes. My technique is a handful of this, a bunch of that, and a dash of hope. But I'll make note of Anne's recipe. I always find that I love it when people say they never follow recipes, and I kind of get what you're saying, but you do. You don't go to make a lasagna and then to end up with a chili con carne, for example. You are kind of following a recipe, otherwise you wouldn't know how to get the end result. You may just not. You may just add the ingredients that you decide yourself is what we tend to do. I mean, I'm with you. I don't tend to follow recipes to the letter. It might say a pinch of salt and I'll add a bit more salt, or a pinch of pepper and I add a bit more pepper. All relative, isn't it? Depending on what you are doing and your experience too. I always think recipes are a good guide to get an idea of how to get the flavouring right, and then go from that. Right, let's have a look at the photos that have gone up in the group this week. Let's put that on that screen because I prefer it. It's time to see your photos. There's been quite a few photos going up in the group this week. It's been really, really good to see. Graham has been turning his pumpkins into gnocchi. He's got a good lot of pumpkins here and another comfort food. I like the idea of this. Gnocchi as well. I made pumpkin gnocchi last year. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. So another good one indeed. Next, Kate is asking why varieties aren't sold on taste after looking through a catalogue. It's a very good question, actually. But the trouble is taste is very subjective. So, yeah, very, very interesting one. Anne, obviously we've seen her video just now, Anne's friend has made this screen print and it's a representation of her garden, including the weather vane and various other things. I'd love to see Anne's garden a bit more after seeing this picture. I always love to see everyone's gardens, of course. So yeah, looks fantastic. I'd love to see a bit more of your garden, Anne. Obviously, I know you're going to be under snow at the moment, but perhaps next year that's something we could do. Next, Stuart has been making room in his water butt for more rainwater. Not that we need much more rain, do we? I'm hoping this week it's going to dry out a little because it is very flooded at the moment where we are, especially if you are. Next, Kate, this when she's not getting hit by the iron, she's made this pumpkin carving, which looks absolutely fantastic for Halloween last year. Looks like a cat in that. I think it's a cat. Yeah, a cat by my guessing. Excellent stuff indeed. Scott has been his overwintered broad beans, I think these are, they're starting to show themselves. They're starting to just push through the soil. Fantastic. I always think it's good to see this sort of thing. It just goes to show that there are things happening in the ground even in winter. Digwell has sent in an end of October plot shot. Also looks absolutely fantastic. Nice and tidy, I've got to say. Certainly much tidier than mine at the moment. So that is it from this slide. We've got one more photo I'll show you in just a moment. It just came in a little bit late for the slide. But please do keep posting your photos. You can post them in our Facebook group, send to me via social media, or email me, richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk. That's richard@theveggrowerpodcast.co.uk. And as I said, there was one more photo that I wanted to show you, which is this one here. It came in from Chitty Kate. This is her end of plot shot as well of her allotment. I've got to say, Chitty and Phil, Kate and Phil have been working very hard on their allotment, and it certainly is showing their great work that they're doing. I'm hoping, probably going to be next year now, to pop down their way and do a bit of a plot tour with them. But really good to see, really good work going on there. So great photos, everyone. Please do keep posting those photos. We'd love to see just what is going on. So back to the comments. Where do we? Hannah Jones says, seed to sow around overwintering pea-like meteor. Pea seed. Yep, I've got to sow some peas next week anyway, so that tallies up quite nicely. Idaho says, I don't follow recipes either, except when baking bread or cookies or other desserts. Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of it is down to flavor or personal taste, isn't it? Some people like a bit more spice, like myself, for example, over others. So personal taste plays a lot into it. David Williams says, love seeing the recipes. The differences help you to build your own. Completely agree with you on that. Andrew Digwell says to Andrew, same here. If I try something new, I look at many other ideas and adjust them for me. Not hot on quantities, me, just add if needed. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think we're all a bit like that. We might add a bit more pepper, a bit more salt, or a bit more cayenne or something, depending on what our choices are, flavors are, and what have you. Scott says, I love that screen print. And Anna Jones says, lovely print. Absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? I love it when Isn't it great when you get gifts like that are so unique and out of the blue that you just never know quite? It's more than what the money side of things. Does that make sense? It's worth more to you than what it probably would cost. That's why I love seeing these things. Andrew says exactly, Digwell. I see a combination of flavors and then go it alone. Completely agree. Completely agree. And again, this is always the problem. I think we were talking earlier, or I mentioned about in Kate's picture, that taste is very subjective. One person might like something to taste one way, and others don't like it. So, combination of flavors, all very objective, very objective. Kate says, brilliant videos and photos this week, guys. It's been a really good week for it. I've got to say, I've really enjoyed this as well. Getting all these photos and videos together and sharing them and getting very, very hungry. Andrew says, that would also be my except Idaho. I'm not qualified enough to improvise with a bread recipe. Yeah. I've always struggled with bread, getting it to rise. And the reason I think is my house is never hot enough. Even that's my suspicion. That's why I can never get it to properly rise. Idaho says, well, Anne, that's a cool depiction of your garden. Isn't it just? Isn't it just? It's been really good to see that in the group. Let's say, I know not everybody is on Facebook, but if you are on Facebook, please do go ahead, go find and sign up to the Veg Ground Podcast group. Just so we can see what everyone else is doing. I know we've got the forum over on our website, but the forum hardly ever gets used. So I'm close to deleting the forum off and being done with it, to be honest. The group tends to have a bit more action for some reason. But that's always been the way. I know a lot of people used to have websites with forums, and as soon as Facebook groups came along, the forums seemed to die a death. Right, guys. So we have got the subject for next week is, do we put our beds for winter or do we grow through the winter? We have got pea seeds that we're going to sow, which tallies up quite nicely with the subject. I just need a mission for next week as well. If you guys can think of a mission that I need to do, something fun, something that we can do, let us know. Digwell says, off topic, well done to Lowe's on here with the hashtag SPC 2023 challenge. Yes, I watched that video, Digwell, and well done to everyone that took part in that. So Digwell, earlier this year, those that took part sent out a single seed potato challenge. The idea being who can get the most out of that one potato. So I did pretty poor, 888 grams of potatoes, I think it was. So I wasn't overly impressed with my total yield. The potatoes, however, absolutely delicious. Really good potatoes. Very happy with that. But now I've seen what everyone else was doing. I'm hoping Digwell's going to do this next year because I've got a much better idea of the actual challenge and what we have to do to try and get more and beat that. So hopefully Digwell's going to do it next year. I know it's a bit difficult to try and get everything arranged. We'll see what we can come up with. If Digwell, if you need any help with it, then get in touch and we'll see what we can do. David says, failed this year. Sorry, Diggs. Looking forward to the next, though. Yeah, me too. Me too. No, I didn't quite understand what was going on, I'll be honest with you. But now I've got a better idea. I'm taking my ears out because I'm hearing it. Now I've got a better idea of what to do. I'm going to try and do better next year and actually put a bit of effort into it. Kate says, I love the challenge. The potatoes were amazing too. There we go. Task for next week. Cook one of tonight's recipes. Good one. Cook one of tonight's recipes. Yeah, I will do that. I will do that. Good challenge. Good challenge indeed. Digwell says, lovely spuds, Richard. The winner had 20 kilos of spuds from one seed. Yeah, I was amazed at that. I mean, I know you said in private to me that in the past somebody's had 100 kilos from one spud. Yeah, completely agree. Absolutely, 20 kilos. It's just amazing from one potato. And now, as I said, now I've got a better idea of what we need to do to try and put some effort into it. Is probably the better way to say. Now I can see that I know what I'm going to do next year. But yeah, the spuds, the spuds, they were delicious. They were good size. They were uniform mostly. Really nice to eat and fantastic. So thank you, Digwell. Thank you so much for setting that challenge up. As I said, I'm hoping next year we're going to do the same, and we're all going to try and take part. Right. David says cook and eat with regards to the recipe. Anna says SSPC was a great challenge. Well done to Robert, the winner. Indeed, yeah. Stuart says someone else can pick which recipe to make it harder. Yeah. Oh, you mean I don't get to choose what recipe? Okay, fine. Scott says some good results with the potato challenge. If you're doing it next year, Digwell, I'm in 20 kilo from. I'm in 20 kilo from one seed is amazing. Yeah. And then Digwell says it does make you wonder why we buy so many seed potatoes. It does, doesn't it? It really does. And how much money we can save by doing some of the techniques that were shown. I mean, there's a bit more effort involved. My trouble, just a quick look at the time. My trouble I had is at the time side of things. I don't have a huge amount of free time. What with a dog, what with work, what with a podcast. Not that I'm asking for sympathy or anything, but cutting potatoes up to try and grow is pretty time consuming. I tend to just throw them in, keep it simple sort of attitude, but it does make you think a lot. Not so much about keeping it simple, is it? It's what can we do to get the most out of it. Nicholas says, I have so much catching up to do this winter and spring, following not being at Hoax, is it? Not being on her farm for several months with the loss of her dad. Nicola, I know you've been unwell as well. You make sure you take it easy, as we've said time and time again, and obviously grieving for the loss of your dad too. Far more important you look after yourself. Winter and spring, winter is great for infrastructure work, but spring we'll get on with it, and you'll be fine, absolutely fine. Idaho says, my job's for this week: finish picking apples, make applesauce, dehydrate apple slices, make apple cider vinegar, harvest potatoes, clear raised beds. So much to do. Yeah, we all know is a lot to do. Digwell says, if it goes ahead, I will let you know on here. Just need a sponsor seed supplier. As I said to you before, Digwell, there's certain events that might help with that sort of thing, if that's any use. Nicholas is going to say goodnight, need a shower, and back to Sussex tomorrow. You take care, buddy. Lovely to see you. We're going to be wrapping up in just a moment as well. One thing I'm just going to ask, is anybody going to be going to CD Sunday next year? It's in Brighton on, I think it's the 4th of February. I believe this, they haven't announced it yet, so I've got a little bit of inside information, which I'm not going to go too much into, but I believe it's in Brighton Open Market next year. But if anybody is going, I know it's obviously those who are local to Brighton, it probably only really affect them. But if anybody is going, let us know. Idaho says, I pre-ordered my seed potatoes for 2024, so I don't have to worry about that. Yes. Yeah. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of the price is quite expensive at the moment. I'm seeing people complain about. However, I've actually been saving a few seeds for this year. Wait on that and see if it works. Anne says, good luck to Idaho. Idaho says, good night, Nicola. It was good to see you. Deirdre says, have to say, Richard, probably the most problem-free video live for ages it has, hasn't it? I've not done anything different. It's just the way it is. Nicholas says, yes, I will be volunteering. You might want to see if you can get into the gardeners question time that they're doing. I'm not going to say any more. Just a little heads up until the announcement comes out. Idaho says thank you, and Nicholas says night H. Right, guys, it is 7:30 anyway, so I think it is time to wrap this up and get out of here. It has been absolutely fantastic spending the evening with you again. We will be back next Sunday with the beds growing throughout the winter, what we're going to do, put them away, etc., etc. So get your minds thinking on how you want to ask that question. Got any videos or anything like that, please do send them in to me, and that would be great. Just making sure everything's tipped off. It is, yep. Yeah, so anything else I have to say? No, I think that is it. Right, guys, let's just quickly finish this off. Thank you to everyone that sent in a video. Thank you to Andrew, to Anne, to Bethan, to Scott for your videos. Thank you to everyone else for your contributions, and hopefully you're not too hungry. I know I certainly am, so I'm going to get away. Let's just quickly finish off these comments. Andrew says, lovely show, Richard. Thanks. Very much enjoyed spending the time with you. I enjoyed spending the time with you as always. Digwa says, Bridgend Garden Centre, £2.20 per kilo of seed spuds. It's not a bad price at that price, is it? Sue Jackson says, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone tonight. Great show. Indeed, it's been great for everyone, I think. Some companies, says Idaho, are saying they had a bad year for seed potatoes, so there will be shortages. I just went ahead and ordered. It's probably the best thing, order while you can. Anne says, Bile, not now going to cook something. Anna Jones says, thanks everyone for a lovely chat. Buddy Sue says, Bile, lovely to see you, buddy. Idaho says, bye everyone, another great live stream. And Andrew says, and thumbs up everyone. Indeed, please do give us a thumbs up on your way out if you would be so good. Right, guys, you take care, and I'll see you again next Sunday.